You cannot be in your season of isolation forever. Welcome or welcome back. It's your favorite mental health specialist, aka your favorite motivational educator, Ty Guidance, and that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. I don't know if you guys can hear the birds in the background. Tweedle, tweedle, tweedle. Shout out to Desi Banks. But no, I just want you guys to know that you can't stay down forever because times are going to change. Like, for example, it's March when I'm making this video. It's going to transition from the winter time to the spring and to the New Year's for those of you who know. And if you don't, that's fine. And that's the same thing when it comes to your life. A lot of us go through trials and tribulations, and sometimes when we're not able to foresee the future or we're not able to be present, we think that we're stuck, we think that we're stagnant, we become so depressed, we become so anxious, we just feel like we're suffering. And it's just like, you don't have to stay where you are if you learn to accept why you had to go through the things that you're going through. When you learn to isolate, when you are in your season of resting, when you have been removed and people and places and things are being removed out of your life, it's not to punish you. Life is about lessons. A lot of people may not be aware of that. And if you're watching this for the first time, you are here to learn. You're constantly going to learn. You've been learning ever since you came out the womb. You were learning while you were in the womb. And you're going to continue to grow and evolve until you can't anymore, because nothing in life is going to last forever. So it's really imperative that when you're in your season of isolation, you take the time for yourself to grieve. Grieving could take years, grieving could take days, grieving could take weeks. There's no specific timeline. And like I said, there's no right or wrong way to heal or to do anything. So never try to force anything that's not for you. But this is going to be the beginning of this video, talking about, and for the next couple of videos, what you need to start doing so you can start receiving the things that you work towards. When you're in your isolation period, when you decide that you want to elevate, when you decide you want to heal yourself from trauma, trials and tribulations, from poverty, from the SA, from the abuse, psychologically, physically, mentally, you want to go back to school, you have these goals, these dreams, you have to realize that everything that you learned previously is no longer going to resonate with you no more. So the way that you grew up, whether you grew up in dysfunction, chaos, corruption, poverty, if you want to change those things, everything that you were taught, if it's not beneficial, if it's not adding into your current reality, if it's not the future version of yourself, has to be stripped away. And you have to realize that when you're in this season, it is really important that you feel how you feel, like you vocalize how you feel, you book a service in a session with me, your favorite mental health specialist, you seek therapy, you seek guiding counseling, you are able to have conversations and converse with people that you can confide with. So therefore, when you get to the moment, you have your breakthrough moment, you're able to move forward, you're not taking any old baggages into your new chapters. And speaking from experience, you are not going to be able to move forward until you let certain things go. So, for example, what has helped me along my healing journey, when I had to level up, when I decided to become the best version of myself, certain behaviors that I was taught as a child, I had to remove. Certain people, like family, friends, even though everyone's not your family, everyone's not your friend, all tea, all shade, had to be removed out of my life. And instead of like going against it, instead of questioning it, I allowed it, because if you are somebody who wants to lose weight and everyone else around you doesn't care about their weight, doesn't care about their health, or maybe they're not educated, you cannot continue to surround yourself with people who are not willing to make the necessary steps with you. Like, this doesn't mean that you can't love these people. This doesn't mean that you can't, care for these people, but there needs to be distance. There needs to be space, because in the end, the company you keep is a reflection of your reality and your life. So I had to be okay with letting certain people go in my life, so therefore I could grow and move and make the necessary changes. If not, certain people sometimes subconsciously and consciously will sabotage you because they're unaware, they're uneducated, they're lost, or maybe they're just envious. Maybe they just are miserable because both of those people exist and they don't want you to do well. So you have to be okay with cutting off certain foods. You have to be okay with cutting off certain people. You have to realize that, okay, if you want to start exercising and losing weight, if that's your goal, whatever your situation is, you have to start to become educated. You have to go on YouTube. You got to go on TikTok. You have to, go to the gym. Maybe you have to book Pilates. Maybe you have to become a yoga member. Like, you have to become educated in the things that you want. You have to start switching out your diet. You have to start educating yourself with certain foods and substitutions. Like, it's a lot that goes into the things that we're asking for. And if you're doing that every single day, like, progress is better than nothing at all. And you have to realize too, a lot of times, me personally, like the people who are no longer in my life were not going to be where I was going to be just because they just weren't. And it's not personal. It doesn't have to be shady, and it's not beef, because anybody who's not happy for you is not for you. And you have to realize that, like, if you want to be around people who are working out and exercising, there are people who go to the gym. You can meet new relationships, you can have better experiences, but you're not going to have better relationships with people who work out and who are motivated and are doing the same things as you if you are staying in your past and you're not making the necessary changes. So when you're in a season of isolation, when you have to cut off certain foods, when you have to cut off certain people, take that time and, like, learn what you learned, accept what was for you. And as you make progress, as you're making the necessary changes, you're going to have your moment. And you have to realize when also you're not where you need to be, and you have a lot of people who don't mean you well, like I said, whether it's intentionally or not, they will start to project and deflect their situations. Like, a lot of people who act shocked and surprised that you're doing well or you elevated never wanted you to do well, or they didn't think they're going to do well. Like, for some reason, a lot of people are entitled. And I personally, I don't condone that type of energy. I don't at all. I don't care if you're black, white, a man, a woman, a hey, they, gay, she, e, we have G, B, whatever. Like, I don't like the entitlement, because it's just like people think, and there's this misconception, there's this saying that when God's in a neighborhood, you're going to get your blessing. No, you're not. You're not going to benefit from somebody's blessing if you didn't do any work. Like, we're not leeches over here. We don't take from people. Like, relationships have to be mutual, and if it's not equally yoked, it's just not for you. And you have to realize that, like, people will be like, oh, I didn't expect you to do this, I didn't expect you to do that. The vision wasn't for them. That's why they can expect it. So this is your friendly reminder. Are you ready? Are you making room? Because if you want to constantly see the fruit of your labor, you have to be showing up daily. Now, of course, everyone's schedule is going to be different. So you have to make sure that you're making time, and that the time that you're using is effective and it's wisely, and that you have structure and that you have routines that you can do. Whether you work a 9 to 5, you're an entrepreneur, like, you have to learn how to become punctual. You have to use your time wisely and invest into time management. So therefore, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever you need to do in your season of isolation, you're doing. Because the longer you sit in your isolation, the longer you prepare yourself, the longer you let go of everything and everybody that's not for you, the more you're able, like I said, to see the fruits of your labor. And you don't have to feel overwhelmed or rushed. So another example, if you're physically in the process of trying to move, while you're saving up your money, while you're looking at houses or apartments or condos or whatever it is, RVs, you have to make sure, like, okay, like, when you move, like, you have to do a lot of planning. Now, you don't have to overplan, and, like, this is where people say this is how you align yourself with your manifestations. Like, you write it down, you affirm it, you visualize. Like, don't overplan, because you don't want to have anxiety, you don't want to be anxious, but, like, you just have to work within the 24 hours. Like, that's the best way for you to see your manifestations and have your breakthrough. Because a lot of people, like I said, mislead people and tell people it's your season, it's your time. It's not your time. It's not going to be your season if you're not doing anything. And this is how we're going to start off these videos. Like, are you aware? Are you prepared? So the next videos, we're gonna, like I said, gonna break that down. But if you're new here, you need to check out the 30-day consistency challenge. I basically broke down the importance of being consistent and success, because if you don't understand everything that it takes to receive the things that you want, you're not going to be able to maintain it. And until you're in the right mind, until your emotions are balanced, until physically you're working on yourself, you can't receive things. Like, how do you expect to move if you haven't packed? How do you expect to move if you're not looking at apartments? How do you expect to move if you're not investing into a realtor? How do you expect to move if you're not looking at land or property? How do you expect to move? You don't have what is it called? A U-Haul. How do you expect to move if you're not getting rid of old clothes? You're not donating clothes. Like, how are you going to move? Like, it's not impossible. Just because, let's just say you lost your house, let's just say you were homeless, you don't have to stay there forever. Like, I don't know why people think that it's the end of the world when we go through things. Like, your situations in life are going to make you or break you. But over here, when you see these videos and you see me on this account, it's here to make us. Like, everything that I went through was necessary. And of course, when you're going through your season of isolation, when people, relationships, heartbreaks, failures all these low vibrational negative things are happening to us. It's so hard to like see that. But I'm telling you from experience, if you give it like 2 years, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, you will see, okay, I went through this because of this. And most importantly, like I said, because you're here to learn the lessons so you don't have to continue to stay in isolation longer than what you need to. Like the only reason why you're in your season of isolation and you feel uncomfortable is because you're trying to avoid yourself. You cannot say that you want to lose weight and be healthy if you're not willing to cut off certain foods and certain resources and certain people and eating certain things. You cannot say that you want to go back to school if you're not willing to study, take exams, like, have those long nights where you have to do essays that are due at 12 a.m., 11:59 p.m. Like, you're not reading the books. Like, it takes a lot. So it's just like the 30-day consistency challenge really breaks that down so you understand what you're getting yourself into. And not just that, most importantly, I'm getting off the video with this, you have to be able to maintain it, because it's like, okay, when you're in your isolation season and it's over and you have your breakthrough moment, you get approved for that apartment, you get approved for that house. Once you get your house, once you get your apartment, now you physically have to move. Like I said, your bags have to be packed. You have to have like proof of residency. You have to have multiple pay stubs. You have to now buy furniture, or if your house is not already furnished, like, you have to pay your water bill, you have to pay your electric bill, you have to pay your cable. Like, you now have to decorate your apartment. You now have to change your mailing address. Like, you now have to update your license, your ID. Like, you now have to pay rent. Like, what's the purpose of buying these things and receiving things and we can't maintain it? You want to be a content creator, you're not posting content for no reason. Like, now you have to, once you get 1,000 followers, once you get 1,000,000 followers, you're not just gonna stop there. And if you are, that's cool. But over here, there's no limit to success, there's no limit to life, there's no limit to learning. Like, you have to let go of the limitations and you have to be able to maintain what it is that you're asking for, because once you get what you want, that's it. Now, if that's your goal, like I said, cool. But over here, we're constantly going to grow and evolve, because the more you grow, the more you evolve, the more you become equipped. And you have to realize too that when you're in your season of isolation and you're being removed, you cannot go backwards. So you may feel like sad because certain people and places and things are being removed. You'll be okay. Like, there are people who are wanting to celebrate you. And I just had like a lot of people talk about how it's lonely at the top. You were lonely at the bottom. Like, me personally, no shade or disrespect, but like, I just don't genuinely care. I'm glad every single person was removed out of my life, because they didn't mean me any well. And if they did, I learned what I was supposed to learn from them. But it's just like, these people weren't there for me when I was going through things, so they're not going to be there with me when I celebrate. Like I said, you don't have to be rude. You don't have to act Hollywood. You don't have to act bougie. You could if you want to, but it's no point. Like, I've never had to prove myself. But it's just like, why be surrounded by people who aren't contributing into your life, who don't allow you to take up space, who aren't happy for you? Like, would you rather be around people who block you, sabotage you, who lie, rumors, spread gossip, not really supportive in the way, or have new communities, new relationships? Because everyone's not toxic, everyone's not envious, everyone's not in poverty. Like, you get to decide what you want to do in this life. So if you guys have questions, comments, concerns, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. I just knocked my desk. Like this video, comment, and subscribe. Turn on your post notification. Follow me on all social media platforms. All the information will be down in my description. If you're interested in a service or a session, head to my website at tyguidedinthesummer.com. But if you're ready and you're prepared, drop "I'm ready" in the comment section, because it's a lot that we need to work on. And check out the 30-day consistency challenge so you are getting prepared, because if you're not prepared, you can't receive. Okay? Love you. Bye.